Cheers. Tonight we are talking about our trip from Georgetown to Myrtle Beach, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's start with the exit out of Georgetown. A little bit stressful because we had parallel parked in this kind of tight little slip where we had to go in between two yachts and then go diagonal in between two other yachts. It was equally as stressful.
We had to do the whole thing, just backwards.
With no stern thruster and no dock hands to help us.
At 6 a.m.
At 6 a.m. Once we got clear, I was like, thank God, and we went around the bend and we started heading out from that point.
The nail-biting morning of exiting.
It was probably the most difficult docking, both in and out of the entire trip. So, hey, we made it without crunching anyone else's yacht. That's good. Once we got out into the river again and we started headed north to Myrtle Beach, it was probably the most changing, diverse, constantly changing landscape that we've had on any of our segments so far. It started with the river. It started with like the big river outside of Georgetown, which is brackish, brown river water. Then as you go up the river, it kind of narrows and the river gets narrower and narrower. And then finally the river stops being an urban river and it starts being very rural. It really kind of turns into just like a jungle or a forest around this very virgin, untouched river as you get further north. We're in it now, deep in the woods, going through the wilderness on I think it's the Waccamaw River. It's still the morning, it's about 9:30 a.m. But there's nothing around us for miles. Kind of spooky, especially when you're doing it early in the morning. We saw hardly anybody when we were going through the very forested part of the river.
There's long stretches like that where you don't have cell service and you're really you're out. But I didn't think it was spooky at all. I thought it was great. There's you know, it forces you to not Google the thing you're looking at or searching for things, but you feel like a long while just by yourself with nobody else on the water.
I certainly felt a little bit paranoid, like what if we have boat trouble in the middle of this like forest, and there's literally a crocodile swimming right in front of the boat as we're surrounded by the jungle forest. And you know, I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to have any boat trouble.
Yeah.
And I didn't see hardly anybody when we were going through this segment.
But the views do change. It changes from like low country marsh on the edges of the river to very tall trees.
So once you get out of the very forested river part of the journey, then you kind of come into the third segment, which is you're starting to reach the edge of Myrtle Beach. And Myrtle Beach is pretty huge. It's like 60 miles in full length. Right when you come into the edge of Myrtle Beach is where, what is that bridge name? Sockasty Bridge. And this is kind of a famous bridge that we'll show you some video here. This bridge is actually used in filming of several different movies, and I think this week they're actually filming for an episode of Outer Banks on Netflix at that bridge. But this is the first bridge that you actually have to call for, because there's no way you can get under it without it opening. So we called for it, and I strategically tried to get to the bridge early in the morning when there was no boat traffic, and I did it on a weekday, not a weekend, because once you go through the bridge, it's a very narrow passageway where maybe like only one boat at a time can get through there. And we actually heard horror stories from prior dock neighbors at an earlier dock in Savannah. They said, do not go through Myrtle Beach. It's too crowded, it's too many people, it's too crazy. Thank you, sir.
Roger that, Captain. I'm safe trip. Caution, caution. Sockasty swim bridge now closed.
Once you get past that bridge, you start getting into the Myrtle Beach like houses starting to line the edge of the canal. And right after you get through a lot of that initial neighborhood, you're like right at Grand Dunes. So let's talk about Grand Dunes. It's a nice place. It's a resort. It's got a pool. It's got multiple bars. It's got a gym, fitness center. It's got a marina, obviously, that you can stay at. It's a good place. It's a family resort. It's just a little bit isolated. It's a little bit far away from everything. They'll take you to the beach. Myrtle Beach on July 4th. Waiting for fireworks. It's a pretty cool little beach over here.
There's a good bar at the end of the dock. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the only one.
Yeah.
They have good drinks, good food, it's a good atmosphere in there. We spent maybe 3 out of the 5 days. Stopped in there for either lunch or dinner.
I would say that bar and restaurant at the end of the marina, that's probably the best bar and restaurant at any marina we've ever stayed at.
I think it's called 357.
Yeah, it might be that. It's full 24 hours a day. Whenever we went in there, it was always full. Tuesday morning, full. Thursday afternoon, full. And it has a very lively atmosphere. Like there's always a gathering full of people all the time. So definitely liked the stop. Would I stay there for a week like we did? Probably not. I think it's probably a good 3 to 4 day stop.
A typical resort, right? Where they expect you to spend most of your time on the resort, spending your money at the resort, your time at the resort. So everything you need is there.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to go to the grocery store like we did, you could walk there. You have to be a walker. Because it's about a mile away, 2 miles away.
2 miles round trip.
About 2 miles, but it's flat walking. It's not difficult at all. We ate out a lot. We went to Blueberry Grill. We went to Ruth's Chris at the marina,
which is on the property.
We ate at Waterscapes, which is the resort restaurant, and then we went to the bar that's at the end of the marina as well. So, and all of those you can't go wrong. They're all delicious.
Yeah.
I think the scariest of the week was Tropical Storm Chantal.
Oh yeah. So we had a tropical storm that started forming. At first it was kind of like, oh, it's a thunderstorm, not too bad. And then it was like, oh, it's a thunderstorm with 40-mile-an-hour winds. Okay. And then, oh, it's a tropical storm. Look at this radar image that we saw basically as we're going to bed that night. And
there's no way to get out of the way. The storm was predicted to hit North Myrtle Beach in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock a.m. And so there was nowhere for us to go. You can't go south, you'd hit the storm. You can't go north, you'd be in the middle of the storm.
She was freaking out.
It was pretty scary. I slept like a baby until that night, and then I was very nervous. We had all the dock lines out. We had like 8.
We doubled
2 springs,
doubled the dock lines, doubled the fenders. So, Tropical Storm Chantal is formed and it's headed toward Myrtle Beach. So, we are doing the necessary. We have put double the lines on. We got 2 lines off the stern, 2 springs. We've moved the dinghy over here out of the way so it's not banging against the swim step. Doubled up the lines on this side. We got 2 springs. We got double the fenders. We moved some extra fenders over here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines on this side, 4 fenders on this side. And then if the boat really goes crazy, the ball fenders to protect the anchor from banging into stuff. Now, the storm hit about 1 in the morning, and I woke up, she woke up, and I
didn't actually wake up. I never went to sleep,
so. Here's some of the footage of us basically waking up and filming the tropical storm direct hitting Myrtle Beach that night. So after the tropical storm passed,
And it wasn't as bad as
Yeah.
they predicted it to be, at least at our location. We were.
I just didn't want
filming
to. I don't want to come up in the morning and the whole like isinglass is gone,
it. Or we're floating down the
and the
ICW
canvas
or
is
stuck
gone.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And but we made it through that, no problem.
I would definitely stay at Grand Dunes again. I'd stay there for maybe 3 days and then move on. You can take advantage of all the resort amenities in 3 days and move on.
Yeah.
Really cheap fuel compared to their competitors. Really nice yacht basin. Easy to get in and out. Overall, we were very pleased with our stay, and we would definitely recommend it to you as well. So with that, we will see you next time. Safe boating.
Happy boating. Cheers.
Cheers. My tip of the day, or my tip of this episode, is really just about look at where your cables for your stern thruster go. There's so much current going through those cables that if they're wet, if they're corroded, if they're touching anything or not grounded, you use your stern thruster for a couple of seconds and it's got water on the connection or corrosion, it's going to turn into heat and it's going to start a fire. And in our case, we're lucky that it didn't start a fire, but instead it like busted a 400 amp fuse, which is a lot of electricity that has to go through there for that fuse to bust, and it burnt and melted the plastic and the wood underneath. So my tip is maintain and watch where your stern thruster connections are in wherever they are. If they're in the bow, if they're in the stern, wherever they are, make sure you have good connections. Make sure it's clean connections, because that can be a hazard, not just a failed fuse.
So my tip, so the only way I can get on the boat when we're departing is to jump over the side of the stern into the boat, which is a little bit difficult when you're my height. I'm only 5'4", standing up straight, and the current is pushing us away from the dock, and we don't have a stern thruster that works. So what I do is I take the spring line and I'll loop it only once around the cleat, so it actually gets tied. Loop it once around the cleat, and then tie it back to itself on the boat, the cleat on the boat. Then I will remove all of the other lines around the boat. That'll enable us to stay secure to the dock till I get back onto the boat. Then I can walk over to the spring line, untie it, and then unhook it from the cleat on the dock, and then we're cleared to go. We call that our loop to loop when we depart. So that way you don't have to make sure that we're pressed up against the dock. And we only have a few seconds for me to untie and jump on, because sometimes as the boat's floating away, the ties get tighter against the cleat.
But in reality, it's a good tip for any situation where you're undocking. Regardless of the dinghy situation on your boat, regardless of your access on your boat, you're going to have to get back on the boat once you have untied all the lines. And if the current is pushing you away from the dock, that's a problem. If the wind is pushing you away, or if like your boat is acting weird because it's different conditions fighting each other, any scenario there, you're going to want your person on the dock to get on the boat safely.
Yeah, especially when you don't have help on the dock. A lot of times you do, if you're filling up with fuel or whatever, but a lot of times you don't. And there was one time we were floating away from the dock, and then I leapt into the boat. And I don't think that was the smartest thing to do. It was the only thing to do, because the boat was floating away without me.
Yeah.
So we do the loop-to-loop for everything now, regardless if it's slack tide
Yeah.
or anything happening. It's just the easiest way to make sure I'm safely on the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and we could just depart.
Very good. So that is our episode for tonight. Hope to see you at the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy boating. Safe boating.